So, are you recording?
Yeah, I just started actually.
Like, I could think of what creative genius is, because it's a kind of... I think of art as an experimentation of what humans can do with just their minds, you know, where it doesn't really have a purpose, like a strategic purpose for your livelihood. I mean, all you need to live is food and shelter and that kind of thing. But usually genius is defined as someone who pushes the boundaries and then also is inspiring enough that other people follow in their wake. So you have a lot of people that start something that's sort of creative that ends up being emulated by so many other people. Like you had, I don't know, the Beatles, who were actually emulating people who had already, like black musicians in Chicago, who had already done that music, and they took it forward. So the creative genius there is not necessarily the Beatles, but it's the guy who originally wrote the song. So when they were covering, like, you know, Roll Over Beethoven, it was actually Chuck Berry's creative genius that allowed that to happen. And so that's a roundabout way to say it, you know.
Do you think, so you're saying basically like creative genius is something that can be shared? It's not like one person is the creative genius, but the creative genius is more of like a thing that can be shared. And since, I mean, like you said, like when the Beatles covered Chuck Berry, like they were using Chuck Berry's creative genius, but they were creating their own like genius, basically.
What the Beatles ended up doing that was their own creative genius is when they started writing their own songs, and then those songs were emulated. Or like Bob Dylan inspired a whole wave of singer-songwriters that has existed to this day. And so it was, there could be creativity that comes out of that, but it's rare that it's creative genius, because it's not ingenious unless it's new, different, and pushes the boundaries of what had been there before. So the genius is going to be the thing that, you know, changes. Like, I don't know, to make an Apple analogy, like Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak did the first Apple like computer, and the first personal computer, which ended up leading to every other personal computer that exists, like a modern world. And the iPhone, for instance, was another stroke of creative genius, even though it was the work of many, many, many people, but it was a vision that ended up being fulfilled, which ended up changing the landscape, and it was emulated over and over again. And so, like, an Android phone is basically ripping off an iPhone, and it does a pretty good job of ripping off an iPhone, but it's still not, it's not the original, you know. And there's something to be said about, like, the initial spark that I would say is the genius spark, where, yeah, genius is often replicated, but it's never duplicated.
Excellence. That's probably good.